Hello everyone, my name is James and I am the Dungeon Master of the Watchers. As a celebration of our 1 year anniversary, we wanted to put our 200 plus hours of content into easily digestible videos so new and old viewers can follow along. If you have seen, this is the first time you've seen a video like this, then please go watch the episode 0 to 10 episodes, where we will catch you up in just over 13 minutes, I believe. I won't be going over all the dialogue and all the small details, as they would defeat the purpose of this entirely, but instead giving you the beats of the story and important hooks that the characters have gotten to. This is the second video in the series, as I have previously said, and we'll be covering episodes 11 to 21, where a lot happened. Tethan Bar told the Watchers that this long-forgotten stronghold has been built by those who came before, which is why he thinks his famed book is here, somewhere. After some clearing out of the shadows, will-o-wisps, wights, ghouls, and cockatrices, the group ventured into what appeared to be an old tavern, long derelict. It housed a Nothic that had been following the group since Silent Liss at the start of the adventure. Remember that crevice that spoke the creepy words to Inspira? Inspira heard words being spoken excitedly, echoing through the entire stronghold. They followed these words and spoke to a soul that had been housed inside a grandiose chair, and introduced herself as Throne. She let the Watchers know that the current owner of this stronghold has gone completely mad, and the party would need to eliminate him to become owners of this stronghold, though she spoke this with sadness in her voice. They rested for the night and went down into the level below the innkeep beneath the throne, coming face to face with Morgoth the Mad, an old Watcher. Without looking at the party, staring into the hearth, he starts to babble to someone else before noticing the group and looking at them with great sorrow in his eyes. Morgoth had been the victim of haunted memories that he went through one by one with the Watchers. A raid by Glartenfalls on Dear Woodens. He spoke of a Glartenfall woman who killed mercilessly, then was killed during the raid. At the moment of death, her partner, who was also in the raid, conceived a child with a Deerwood villager. The Glartenfall woman's soul transferred at that moment with this new child, creating a bastard child of Deerwood and Glartenfall. In the next memory, he sees the child, a boy. He looks up to his mum to say he wants to be like his dad one day. The mother had told him that his dad died during the raid and brought him up to hate the Glartenfalls, even though he had the blood of one. And then in the next memory, changing seamlessly, he sees the boy as a late teenager, anger etched on his face, screaming that he would have revenge on the Glartenfalls for killing his father, ready to go to war, speaking to a Captain Hadret. Morgoth said the last few lines staring into his fire. The captain, Admet Hadret, scorched the forests and earth around the entire region the Glartenfalls took camp. But that boy was the bait. He ran in, unknowing that the captain would set ablaze to that forest. He wanted to trap the Glartenfalls and use the boy to do it. These memories burned Morgoth's mind and drove him mad. Morgoth tried his best to keep composure, to pass down the knowledge of the Watchers before asking them to end his suffering. He told him that it was impossible to forget memories they remember of others as a Watcher, and if anyone knew how to reverse the process of awakening into a Watcher, it's this secret organization that's been around for a very long time called the Molten Symbol. To Morgoth, being a Watcher wasn't a gift, it was a curse, one given to mortals when the gods lost faith in their disciples. There's normally only one Watcher, he says, but for there to be 4 means there are dire times ahead indeed. After this, he begged the party to kill him, for he is slowly dying from inside his mind, and they obliged. They were given the choice to release his soul, bind him permanently to the stronghold, or absorb his knowledge, and they chose to set him free, where he floated to the wheel. They spoke to Throne again and were given the ownership of this stronghold with an as-yet unknown name. She confirmed the story of Morgoth, again with a morose tone to her voice. He helped her when she was mortally ill, and transferred her to the throne she's in now. She does not know her name, only that she is incredibly grateful. The group then cleared the rest of the stronghold out of monsters and entered the chapel. Each member of the Watchers were contacted by an avatar of God in some way. Kelenvor, the old god of death, blessed Jace. Barath and the Chronicler appeared for Inspira and seemed to test her resolve, and Wudika appeared for Aya and melted the scales atop the dais in the chapel that symbolized Kelenvor. Cade contacted Lathander, but it was in his final moments before the shattering during the God Wars. He was bent with pain, and then there was nothing. Each god told of a great event that is coming, that the Watchers would be tested to their limits and to be prepared. A vision from each of the Watchers' actual deities visited them that night with instructions also that were very similar. When they woke up, Cade has a moment of reflection on his old gladiatorial days. A gorilla was his hardest opponent. He still won this bout, but in respect for this gorilla, he summoned Edak, his steed. Then they decided to check out a portion of the stronghold they had been avoiding, the hedge maze. It was blocked to anyone who wasn't a Watcher, so Teth and Bar had to take a step back. Over the course of their journey into this hedge maze, they found out it was full of large reptilians that were being summoned from a small stone in the center of it. They found out that it was a portal to an island far off in the southwest of Valeria. This island was full of giant lizards and various other scaled and feathered creatures they had never seen before. They escaped from the hedge maze and were confident nothing could escape, as Throne told them Morgoth had created the maze, trying to cast a spell to turn back time. Instead, he had misquoted a verbal component when he was younger and opened up a portal to this island instead. He spent an entire year refreshing a barrier over this hedge maze to make sure nothing but him could enter and exit it. The Watchers then get to know their groundskeeper, Barbeg, and offer him employment. He accepts, but tells the party that he is on the run from a criminal organization that he used to be a member of. However, he doesn't know the name and only knows faces. A certain individual and name keeps popping up in his investigations though. His name is Razamesh, and he's on par with an assassin of the group. Aya took particular interest in this discussion. After this conversation, the party decided on a name for the stronghold and settled on Cade in Aya. After some further exploration of Cade in Aya, the party wanted to dive deeper into the dungeon underneath Cade in Aya, where Morgoth was. Throne let them know that it is named the Abounding Burn, and has 15 levels to it, each one being progressively harder than the last, and she has limited coverage of it since Cadenaya is not fully built. With this, Throne introduced the party to the Earthen of Cadenaya, a small group of constructs that will help build the stronghold to its previous glory, but she also has to tell the group that they need additional labourers and traders if they can find them. The Abounding Burn was their next destination, and level 1 was ahead. The first level of the Abounding Burn was more taxing on some than others, Cade constantly being put under the Charm Person spell by kobold scale sorcerers, but eventually they found a small corner of the dungeon that was filled with spider webs and a giant egg sac, but no spiders in sight until Cade hit the egg sac. Spiders poured out of it, and so did a huge black-bodied spider with a woman's body atop it with long white hair. She was ready to attack, but Aya managed to intimidate her with mutual respect, calming her, which in turn made the surrounding spiders calm. They made friends with this dryad named Elendor, who wanted nothing more than payment of flesh for her children. If the Watchers did this, Elendor and her children would not become a problem, and they agreed to the deal. She gave the group a magical dagger and a small white spider that seemed to be a runt of the sack, which Inspira took gleefully. Elendor did warn the party that a group of looters came through here from a hole in a room to the rear, and killed her children, then went on to mine the walls of their precious stones. So the Watchers met them, charmingly spoke to them, and then employed them to have full-time jobs as labourers at Cadenaya, making sure to avoid Elendor's webs. After assigning work on the Northeast Barbican and keep of the stronghold to the new employees, the group headed down to the Abounding Burn again. They spot a giant stone door in Elendor's room they could not open, and also a giant 20-foot-long jade hand that was reaching up out of the ground and supporting the chapel above it. The 5 jade stones the party thought were just stones in the courtyard are actually tops of fingers of a larger statue beneath. They found some stairs and went deeper. On the second level they found holes in the walls that were filled by bodies and mementos of sacrifice, but also a kobold that was dying from electrical burns. He said there was a great one below that they sacrificed adventurers to before dying after Inspira made him laugh. Eventually the Watchers found a huge room with a massive hole in the center of it and a mass of kobolds worshipping the hole. Being under stealth, the group waited for the kobolds to exit before ambushing them and making quick work of them. With a look in the hole, the party could see it travelled an immense distance, and a rancid smell blew up regularly from it, making the Watchers think twice about entering it. And so they explored the rest of the second level of the abounding berm and came across a room out of the way in the southwest. It had a tent and was absolutely full of traps. They found a broken magical blade inside a chest and the skeleton of whoever owned this room. Additionally, the master staircase was found behind a secret wall that led the party to the first floor, opening the huge stone door that was in Elendor's room. However, when the party looked back to do a head count, Jace had gone missing, nowhere to be seen. Immediately after this news, the group were contacted by Throne through the sending spell. She told them that Wind had arrived, brutally beaten and mutilated but still alive, and they all made their way back to the keep to see him. He tells them that he was told to assassinate Jace, but Wind hesitated as the Watchers had done no harm to him. For this hesitation, he was unbranded, beaten, and left on a high mountain pass to die. He crawled to the nearest building, which happened to be Cade and Aya. Barbek carried him to the keep room when he saw him. Cade healed him to full, and during this time Barbek, Wind, and Aya had a discussion about their various pasts and how they were very similar, and one man was a common mention, Malakian. A rest was had, and the Watchers, with Wind in tow, went to look for Jace. They found a pit trap in the master staircase, hastily made by magic, and the group went deeper into the abounding berm. On the third level was a crazed and diseased ogre that Cade cured of that disease. He spoke of this ogre tribe over the river on this level going mad after eating contaminated kobold meat, even to the point of eating each other. The chieftain of the ogres, and also Verk's mate, Trezig, had gotten to a stage in her disease where she was taking on strange changes to herself. He offered a reward, and the Watchers adventured on. Seeing traces of Jace going this way, they went over the river at this level and came across 3 angry ogres who threw rocks at them. They easily dispatched 2 of them, but the third ran, calling for Chieftain Trezig, an Oni who cast Cone of Cold on the party and knocking most of them unconscious. Aya, Wind, and Inspira tried to fight against this Oni, but were eventually beaten as Trezig turned into a monstrous ogre spider that stood high, easily 12 feet tall. She killed Cade and knocked the other party members unconscious. Aya, Inspira, and Wind woke up to the sound of gentle chittering. Trezig was sleeping in the far corner of her council chamber, and the Watchers were bound on a giant web in half cocoons. Jace was also here and woke up with the sound of the others coming too. Jace explained quietly that she had been traded by large figures in black to Trezig so they could go deeper into the dungeon. Jace made a silent prayer to her god Helm, and he listened. Divine intervention was used, bringing him back to life, though barely. A small coo was heard behind the party. A small black bird humanoid was cutting them out of their cocoons while looking with his big black eyes at Aya, cutting faster and faster. The fall of Cade from the cocoon got the attention of Trezig, and she awoke. The party ran, and with excellent use of Misty Step, Nat 20s, and great chase tactics, they destroyed Trezig and explored the area around her. A room was found to the west of her council chamber, full of riches, and the stair to the level below. With the threat this level posed, the party decided to go back and get more information, making sure to collect Verk and make him another worthwhile employee of Cade and Aya. The Watchers question Throne on the molten symbol of why Morgoth mentioned them earlier. Throne tells them that the molten symbol is an old organization that worship Wudeka, god of justice, but have lost their way. Throne has met one of them before, and his name was Faust. She was scared of him and what he could do. She also describes his appearance, and it was a striking resemblance to the man the party had seen in Silent Liss, the man who sacrificed 3 people and turned them to ash and tried to do the same to Jace. Throne lets the party know that the molten symbol has been involved in incidents in and around Defiance Bay, and to investigate them further there. The capital of Deerwood was corrupt, but had an unsuspecting surface to it. Wind was left to heal at Cade and Aya, and they spent some days travelling through the Timbercoat of Veld in the south, meeting traders along the way that were celebrating the Feast of the Moon before arriving at Defiance Bay at the beginning of winter. The group explored the city and eventually found a spirit who no one else could see but them. He mentioned about being the lord of this city, and believed he was still alive as he explored the ruins of a temple that was once a place of worship for Wudeka. When they questioned him on Wudeka, he told the Watchers to make their way to the Mole Cross Catacombs to learn more about the Queen who's never far. Thank you everybody for watching this video. If you want to know when the next video is coming up, please give us a subscribe and also ding the bell so you get notifications, because YouTube doesn't notify everybody who's subscribed. Yeah, and we will be posting one of these videos every week until we are caught up, and then we're going to be doing weekly videos on the episodes themselves, like catch-ups, so like 4 to 5 minutes catch-ups on the videos themselves, so people can get caught up and then just go straight into the story. Please tell us what you think of the videos, please share them out, and we'll see you next Tuesday.